What is up, guys? It is that Panda Gun. I'm here again with another video, and today we're going to be looking at the Island Raid brackets. We're probably going to be doing, as per usual, 1 through 10. I will be honest though, I think a lot of you guys come here just for generally 1 through 3 or something, as you know, those are usually either the most tense, just the most looked at, or the most predictable, right? I feel like that's usually the case, and then people are like, okay, well, let him spit his cold turkey out here, while I'm talking about the other brackets. That being said, we're gonna hop right into it. The devs did do this little event where I guess they put on Discord, you would guess the winners for G2. And that kind of just tells me, the devs definitely knew that G2 was most of the action was probably going to be at, right? Because obviously I feel like Boone in G3, pretty predictable, especially at how the fights are gonna go, right? Because I don't think if I'm honest, I don't think there was a chance for us to really lose in a bracket like this, and it just is how it is, right? Like it would have been, and that's the thing. I feel like this is a lot of the case, in H&B's brackets where they're just put into these really scuffed brackets, and the alliances just don't have a reason to fight, right? Probably gonna be the same case here. I mean, why would these alliances fight? Why would they step up and just kind of feed their troops to a nothing fight, right? It's just no point for them, and that just gives me the thought that nothing's really gonna happen in G3. But I just wanted to say that I don't think anything's really gonna happen in G1 either. That's why G2 is probably gonna be where most of the combat's at. I'll get into that in a second, but you guys get my point. So G1, we're looking at this. We have H&B in the corner over here. The thing is, all these alliances here, this is such funky matchmaking, and I have to attribute this to maybe the migration event, right? I feel like a lot of the alliances moving, for example, Fox, Fox might have ended up in G1 if they actually hadn't moved regions. And a lot of these alliances in here make no sense. They weren't even in G5 last time, or if they were in G5, they might have been losing, or just something like that, right? I don't really understand why NWO is here. I'm assuming this is somewhat attributed to their older age, because age obviously has a play in how matchmaking is made. I'm assuming that this is somewhat attributed to their old age. You have AOW. AOW, not really sensible to me. They were in H&B's island last time in G2, but they also, I think, got 8th place, or one of the last spots. They're not 8th place, but they still got a lower spot, right? They didn't have any villages, nothing. So I don't really understand their promotion. Same with SK&G, right? They can't really do much in this bracket. I think they were in a losers bracket as well, in G8 or something. Mob, a bit more sensible. I mean, they were, or they're 8.3 billion. I think they were close to 9 billion. Probably dropped some of that dead weight, but still doesn't. I don't know, man. I don't understand the matchmaking this time around. And like I said, it's probably somewhat attributed to the region moving, especially when you consider how many people were moving to these very newer regions that either don't have island, or they're barely just getting island, and that means their matchmaking is going to be way better, right? Because if I move to region 100, for example, I'm obviously going to be fighting a lot newer regions, regions around the age of region 100. Same if I move to region 150. Same if I move to region 200. I get better matchmaking based off the region age, right? Because the region age is attributed to how the matchmaking goes. I think this bracket is pretty straightforward. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think everybody's gonna fight. It is possible if I say this every time, if the 7 alliances united against the 1, it is very possible that there would be a victory here. But I just don't see that happening. And not only that, in this case, it actually looks worse than some of the previous brackets. I feel like a lot of these alliances are within the 5 billion range, lacking a lot of whales, and I don't know. I feel like in comparison to even their last bracket, these alliances are much, just smaller in comparison. I don't see anything happening there. I don't believe it. I don't believe G1's gonna have any action. That being said, we're going to G2. We have DHX in the corner here at almost 14 billion. My region, I think 96, man. Freaking crazy. I'm assuming they boosted up a lot because of migratees, right? You have a lot of migratees kind of coming in here and joining DHX. I will say this is probably going to be a exciting island, at least I would guess so. I'm not really sure who Indy 21 would align with. I'm going to I'm gonna say it, like this. I think the like chance that DHX has really relies on ND21 here, right? Because I feel like you have HNT and BTW here, and that is like, you're gonna have a combo duo here. But the thing is, you also got to consider this, right? Like, even if you consider BTW to be pretty strong, which, I still do, I think that DHX is kind of in this situation where, consider like their top whales, for example. Where is this dude? Is this him? Yeah. So just consider this guy for a second, right? Put him against maybe two or three of BTW's, top fighters. And say it was like an endurance fight on the field, right? I think this dude probably can out endure them because he just has bigger wallet. He's probably spent way more. He has way more in his bags. Not only that, he's more capable of launching, defending from rallies, and overall, this is just going to be a hard fight, right? You have some really insane whales with gear here, and I will also say, H&T still has like whiskey gear. That's like going to be the biggest factor, I think. Like someone like this. Although I can't really say for sure, as I don't know how many of the like remaining fighters in HMB's like Remnants Alliance will really be able to fight, right? Like I don't know how active they are right now, because obviously they're not their peak like they were when like before the migration, right? And like I said, for BTW, I don't think BTW is gonna like totally curb stomped. Obviously, I will say like BTW sounds like a player like LeBron. LeBron is a freaking beast. So I mean, you can probably expect something there. It's a really hard save for me. But honestly, most people are siding with DHX. I think this really depends a lot also on possibly how these alliances are on the map align themselves. Like, if everybody was like, okay, well, we're going against DHX. DHX can only, like, kind of fend off, right? Like, I understand DHX kind of, fended off the last island, but this island is much more they're much stronger, right? They're much stronger, much more of a threat, and I think DHX really needs allies going into this one. But I will say overall, I actually have more of a positive view on how DHX would perform here, right? Especially with, like I said, whale comparison. You just have a lot more who are probably willing to fork out more resources and such on the field. But I'm also just gonna have to see because I can't say that for certain. Okay, so we get G3. I think G3 is kind of straightforward. You have Boone in this corner. I will say we're obviously not at full power. We don't have all our members, but we're still like, we still registered like 14, 15 build-ish. And, going in, we already have people that we kind of have as like alliances right that are just set in stone. So I don't really see anything happening here. I would guess any alliances that aren't our allies would more or less likely just not participate, and that's for the best. I think that's the smartest thing to do, and no shots at those alliances, because I would be in the same situation, right? Like I would actually be more flabbergasted if an alliance here just decides to go full holding out, right? Because you're gonna be taking really bad trades. You're gonna really be hurting. All right, so now we're looking at G4. I feel like G4 was kind of more balanced, right? Or at least I looked at a few of these alliances. So I looked at like Sim here. You have Sim at like 8 billion, pretty actually beefy. They have a lot of players. This is a really active group here though. So I'm just gonna leave it at that, and we're gonna look at RPG. RPG also at 8 bill. The issue is, not only did RPG lose LeBron, and I will say like LeBron does have some alts here, which would probably be willing to fight, but I'm not sure if he's gonna have like his alts actually kind of helping out or not. But the thing is, you have a lot of people who are gonna farm here, and you have Bay. I can't find the other guy, but there was LeBron. There's catastrophe. Oh my gosh, I keep saying everything wrong. But you guys get the point, right? Like I think some of these guys are real fighters, and they kind of carry RPG. I think like those guys are kind of necessary for carrying RPG, and LeBron is one of those. LeBron being out of the alliance, I feel like drops off a big portion of their field fighting might. They could probably like solo like crazy on the field. But you have a very few select fighters here that are going to actually be able to go ham. And losing LeBron, I feel like, is a kick to the stomach. So, we're going to have to see. Because, I mean, those guys, like I said, are still fighters. But I think without LeBron, it's going to be kind of hard. His alts are really massive for filling rallies, filling towers. And, yeah, let's move on. We got MGM. I mean, I feel like a lot of these alliances would be capable because the thing is you got to consider RPG is mostly going to be putting in swarms with like a Bay and like this guy here because I don't know about the rest of the guys, like I don't think they're the biggest monster fighters, but I think especially Bay, LeBron, and this guy are always the ones who've held RPG together in these fights, But if you're having to fight someone like MGM, I feel like MGM honestly could hold their own as long as they just turtle down and wait for like the bronze group or sorry RPG to actually go to sleep. It's really like the best method when you're kind of confronting an alliance like this. I don't actually know how the alliances are going here, by the way. I don't know who's allying with who. I'm just making my assumptions. SOTF. I think this is so up. You got you got Jan and Yedick here. I mean, you got a pretty good group. I think they merged with Arkham, at least for the island. So I mean, this looks more so promising for these guys. You got a decent group of fighters there. Dude, I can't even say. I can't even see. I feel like this bracket is pretty balanced. Like I feel like all the alliances kind of have their own advantages. I will say, in my opinion, I think the Warrior Legion as well as MGM are kind of at a disadvantage, at least on T6 players, and that just puts them in like in kind of a kind of a weird stance, right? I think Fine's gonna be all right. They usually can fight pretty well as long as they're just working together all right, coordinating pretty well. I don't know how these guys are gonna do, as I feel like it's kind of the same situation as those other two alliances. They just lack the T6 players. I mean, I feel like they're at a little bit more of an advantage than those other two, but not really much more. I feel like that's just kind of rough. I think there's more of a balance between these guys. You have Sarf, right? You have RPG. I think RPG kind of is always on a weighing scale for me. It's kind of hard for me to decide where they're at in Sim as well as Fine, right? I feel like those groups are more so balanced, and then you have the other three kind of at the lower end of the bracket here. G5, we have ROK. You already know these are Korean alliances. This looks like a Korean bracket, or at least a much newer region type bracket. And let's look at these. Okay, well, yeah, 126 kind of makes sense. You get a lot more of these either whale alliances or just alliances with a whale. These guys already looking pretty advantageous for Evil. Okay, Evil is looking like they're at a pretty big advantage here. Already got more of the T6 players from looking at the alliances. Thing is, I think a lot of these alliances aren't small. Like you have a lot of these like 5 billion alliances in this bracket, but then you just have like a lower player base of whales. Like even here, like they're not small. I think like a lot of their player base is more so 50 mil, maybe a little bit higher, and that's the problem. If they have to go into a field fight against someone like Evil here, they're gonna kind of get overrun if like this is an active group who actually has their whales kind of coordinating on the field. That's gonna just be rough. You kind of need coordinate pretty well against a group like that, especially if you're lacking the fighting power on the field. Yeah, I mean these guys even have more T6 players, right? Than their allies by far. And I mean these guys are stronger. It's just like they don't have as many actual, people who are capable of doing that. I don't really know. I feel like Evil is at like the biggest advantage. I think 1004 kind of takes second here, like at least on the might scale, and then you have TFW. And the other alliances, I can't really say. I think like, for example, LGHR, I think they're, they got the might, they have enough to fill towers, kind of fill rallies, and I think they're kind of in the same spot as TFW here, right? Like they have the might, they just don't have enough T6 players in comparison. I won't say Evil has like a ton. Evil still isn't like all T6 players, right? It's like 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6 maybe, and possibly 7, but I feel like even being able to man like 6+ towers compared to maybe 3 to 4 towers still makes a huge difference if you're kind of going on the defensive, and it just puts you in a really big. Oh yeah, I didn't even check these guys out. Never mind, let me take that back. R137's actually looking pretty shredded here. They got They got quite a few whales. I don't know. This is definitely going to depend on how allies go. Like if everybody wanted to gank up on evil, I don't think they're gonna be able to defend themselves. But if for example, R137 and maybe evil decided to kind of ally up, and then the rest of the island fought them, I still think that that would be kind of an entertaining fight. But I mean, expectations are almost never met, guys. Almost never met. So G6, I actually checked this out for briefly. I think this is kind of the equivalent of maybe what G1 is, except on a smaller scale, and kind of more favorable for the other alliances if they do want to fight. But K and Q's right here is almost 11 billion. I know like some people already have joined them. They have some big mega whale boys. Like look at this guy. Look at this guy. They got some pretty disgusting whales here. A pretty massive T6 base. And if you have to fight them on the field, that's gonna be a pain. Kind of draining those players out. That being said, you do have these other alliances, and they're not weak in no regards. A lot are like it looks like Korean and stuff, especially after the names. But it's like, can they kind of defend from that at the same time? Like even if you're these strong alliances, it's like you kind of get crushed under the pressure, especially if there's like a big gear gap between your top players. You're gonna be trading pretty hard in those rallies, right? That's the biggest issue with these alliances. Like even these guys, right? Like they don't have any. I don't know, like this guy could be T6, right? And honestly, he has like decent gear for infantry because he's obviously infantry focused. But if they have to defend towers, it's still going to be rough. The trades are obviously not going to be good if you're taking it on from their top player who has, multiple supreme parts. And I mean, like, for example, you got these guys, like, I'm not going to say they look bad because, their gear isn't bad. But, when you have people with, like, purple gear or something, you're not going to be able to hold on. You're not going to be able to hold on and take really good trades. And that's really demoralizing. Not only that, it's just, it kind of puts you in this, you get this psychological standpoint on these kids. I will say, like, honestly, these alliances don't have bad gear. They still have people with golden gear, which still is enough to trade to the point where you're not feeling like you're getting slaughtered. So I feel like even these two alliances wanted to go against Loves, aka K and Q's, that would be pretty formidable. I think K and Q still needs allies coming in this bracket because these alliances aren't small on no scale. If it comes down to like a 7v1, I think they utterly get crushed, right? They kind of have to. I feel like they'll be able to hold on for a while. They have the field fighters. Like the thing is, you got some of these main players who can be able to field fight as long as they really want. But once the rest of the players are drained out, they're kind of forced to fight on their own. And if you're having a fight against the world like this, against all these groups, no bueno. Sorry, I had to like do a big old swallow right there. Alright, G7. We have Fox here. Okay. We have ANCB. We have TBZ. I don't know. I think this bracket is honestly a big drop on the size scale, right? I think Fox has fallen a lot on their might and stuff because obviously their whales are gone. All the players, who kind of were big fighters here, kind of left. Even like the top players, you see this, right? Like a lot of them just have low kills, and that kind of just shows you that it's mostly it's more likely that they're not going to fight. Actually, no Flash, pretty cool guy. He's probably more willing to fight, but you kind of look at these guys and it's like these guys are. The majority of them are unlikely to fight. Fighting an alliance like this is really tough. Even at 5 billion, you can assume the majority of the players are just farmers. And, that's no insult, but it is the case. I don't think, like, when you have, like, 1 million kills or something, or 2 million kills at, like, 70-ish mil might, right, and your account's maybe, like, months to even a year old, you're just not likely to be going ham in a bracket like this. It's the honest case. Same with ANCB. I think ANCB might be in a better spot in this scenario. Either way, you still have someone like Paul who probably more willing to fight. These guys look like they're still willing to fight. And I mean they do have two T6 players. Nevertheless, I mean even TBZ here. What TBZ? I mean TBZ definitely would fight, right? Although like they definitely are. I mean, they have more T6 players at the very least, right? I think the issue is they don't have like I don't think they have like a big player player base, and I'm not sure how active they are. So if they had to fight someone like ANCB, even if they have like a bigger T6 base, I'm really kind of oblivious to how that would turn out. I don't know how the heck Dumb B is here. Why is it? I'm guessing they registered and maybe they left the alliance and migrated or something, or they just left the alliance. But yeah, that alliance is gonna hold their own. Okay, we're gonna see it. R4W. This is from Region 14. This is more, I would say more so of a base of like non-spenders and free to play, but you also gotta consider that there is the migration event kind of messing up the brackets right now. So I'm not really sure how many of these people might be migratees and how many are actual spenders, but I feel like 14 would probably be more willing to fight in a bracket, in any of these type of brackets. So I am kind of putting my odds, at least from what I've looked at so far, on ANCB and R4W. We still haven't checked out the other three alliances though. We have Vin here. Okay, Vin, they got Tier, they got Akilon. Akilion. I don't even know if I'm I'm probably pronouncing that all scuffed, man. I'm so bad with my pronunciation of like names and stuff, or even like, I don't know, man. Sometimes I am really bad. I feel like this is Vin, or at least I'm gonna call them Vin. Wait, I don't know why I didn't even notice this is Vin. I'm just used to the big VEN instead of the small undercase Vin. But Vin is definitely probably the most willing to go ham here, or at least not the most willing, but the strongest and a big group of fighters. So I already kind of see Vin more favorable. Not only that, you're looking at these other alliances with a vast disadvantage in the T6 skill, and not only that, I see in a lot of cases like alliances will have a T6 player, but the T6 players have like 1 million, 2 million kills, and you can already guess that these guys won't be running no rallies, doing no defensive. But I mean, look at the majority of these, these players in Vin with pretty high or at least average kills, as a T6 player. More likely to be willing to go tower duty, more likely to be running a ton of rallies, more likely to be doing field work, and against an alliance of maybe T5 players or even high T5 players, they're just at a big disadvantage. Dark Scar, love Dark Scar. He's from Boone, by the way. This is a Booney boy. I think he just had real life stuff go down. He just couldn't, manage anymore, which is unfortunate. But BKGT kind of, I'm not really going to say much here, as I'm not really sure, too much about these guys. I'm going to be guessing that these guys are still like a group of active players who are willing to fight. But, like I said, against someone like Vin, who looks like they still have a pretty active upper player base at the very least. And that's not to discount like the, smaller players who are probably also in the same shoes, right? Like you can guess these guys are, going to be able to field rallies, field towers, and also even do field work, right? But that being said, you have these other alliances. I don't think H and Z is really going to be able to do much. A lot of these, I think, are farms or just probably farmers, right? But I'm putting my bets on Vin here. I would kind of give second place off to maybe BKGT, maybe R4W next, and ANCB, because the thing is, ANCB I'm kind of skeptical about, especially for the fact that these guys do have a lot of probably farms in here, being that the fact that they are kind of an alternate alliance, right? That's kind of my stance there. I think TBZ somewhat going to be able to go in here, actually, kind of putting up numbers though. G8 here. We're kind of checking out G8. I actually haven't really checked out G8 much. I see SMHS guys. The thing is, we're not even gonna dabble on them. They lost a lot of their main fighters, and that's just because of the migration event. And you know what? I'm not even. I'm fine with that. Okay, I'm fine with that. I don't like SMHS. Hopefully SMHS is chilling on their helipad this event. Though I don't actually think it matters at this point. I think like the people who are, kind of sketchy and stuff have probably already abandoned ship, and I don't know, man. I still wouldn't trust them, to be honest. Like I don't really trust people after that. After you kind of get backstabbed like that. It's just meh. All right, sorry, I have to catch my breath. Okay, so we have D-Day. D-Day looking, they got some beefy boys here. already off bat looking all right. You know, you have a few players like purple parts and maybe golden gear, or at least two. So D-Day, just first look, already looking pretty solid. I mean, obviously you have to see the other alliances to kind of put them on a comparison scale. If FRW, I will say SMHS, like I said, they kind of lost a lot of their fighters here, by the way. So I don't think that in comparison to some of these alliances are gonna really have a big impact. This dude has like 19 million kills. Kind of skeptical about how much he'll fight. I feel like the top player might carry. I mean, oh shoot, I didn't even mean to tap that. I feel like the top player could carry, right? Just because he looks like he's willing to fight. But the thing is, you got to understand, I'm not really sure how much these other players are willing to fight. But the thing is, I feel like SMHS was actually pretty active, pretty good at filling rallies and towers. So, you know, I wouldn't count them out just because their whales migrated out. That being said, let's check these guys out. Okay. Well, you have a few solid horses in this alliance. I don't even know why I'm using the word horses, but you have a few solid horses in FR5, right? I wouldn't honestly compare it to D-Day on the upper player scale, although it's kind of close. I mean D-Day only has like maybe two more T6 there. Glow. This is kind of rough for Glow. I feel like Glow is just put in a iffy spot, right? Like I don't feel like they're in a good spot. You know, I don't know, man. Like I always try to compare alliances based off their top players. Like I do this every time, but you kind of need top players who are going to be able to either do the brute force or the main, like, I guess, grunt work on the field, right? And not only that, you kind of need them for like tower defenses, kind of holding on towers. Because even if you have like, 50 T5 players who can be able to run on the field, if you're fighting 25 T6 players, those T6 players are probably going to be able to shred you. Not only that, you're not going to be able to defend towers, right? So I don't know, man. That's like a rough situation. RCCO, I think RCCO could probably put, kind of have a big impact in this bracket depending on who they're aligning with. This alliance, yeah, they're down like half their members. That would explain like the 3 bill. I'm not really sure about these guys and how hard their fighters are willing to go. But I mean, it's kind of the same situation, you know? I mean, I don't think that they're useless in this bracket, but I think, on maybe just the overall number scale and stuff, they kind of lose off. And if they have to defend like 3 or 4 towers, they'll just start crumbling, right? I mean, it's just a rough situation to be in. TBF, I can't say. I've honestly gotten to the bracket. This is like one of those brackets that you hit where you just don't know. You know, I feel like D-Day might be at like top spot on the to overall power scale. I feel like FR5 probably next up. I think RCCO and G3R might end up coming up next on that. And I can't really say about the rest as I'm kind of skeptical. I don't think SMHS is going to be able to hold off there just because they kind of lost their main fighters. TBF, more so in a spot where I'm like, I don't really know a lot about these guys, so I don't want to speculate. But honestly, it looks like they actually are pretty good fighters though. So I will give TBF the benefit of the doubt and actually kind of put them up there with these two, right? I'm gonna say that they might actually have more of an impact in that case, or as much of an impact. So I don't know. I think TBF looks already solid, but it's kind of hard to measure this kind of bracket. And I think like many of the others, this does depend a lot on how the alliances go. If you get like one of the most solid alliances, you kind of, as a top group, you kind of want to get maybe one other really strong alliance, and then you go against the rest. Or you get like two mid or weaker sized, and then you also take on the rest, right? All right, so G9. I actually have not looked at, and I don't have a big idea. The name Mink looks more familiar to me. I mean, you got Ginny here. Ginny is a little beast. I'm not gonna lie. Ginny is a little beast over here. You do have a few whales in this alliance. I mean, I know that these guys are probably more willing to go in fighting than some groups. Uh, yeah. I mean, God W as well. This honestly looks way more balanced on the whole group, right? I feel like this is way more balanced. I actually don't think I'm gonna really touch on this bracket, as I feel like this is more balanced. I think FX3, in all honesty, not really gonna do much here because FX3 aren't the biggest fighters. I've said this before, and I never say this as offensive, as I know a lot of people in FX3 where I'm really friendly with them, but they are just a lot of farmers, right? They like farming, that's what they do, and no shots at them, that's just what they like to do. But I don't really think that they're gonna be able to have a big impact in this bracket. It looks like Bro is probably in a rough spot here. They are much smaller, and tower fight wise, this is probably gonna be a bit harder versus these other alliances. But it does look like they have people willing to fight. So I mean, field wise, they might be able to come support an alliance and kind of make a connection with one of these groups, maybe, and kind of save themselves if they end up having to fight the rest of these guys. Because it looks like most of these alliances have like a few top players, like God W, right? They have like their top player who fights. DF39 also has their top player, and I mean, I didn't really check out like the rest of the players. They obviously have some other T6 guys here who do look like they fight. But if I'm gonna be honest, I think that Mink might just have to take top here, at least on the whole power scale, just because I feel like not only do they have decent group, they also just have this mega whale, right? Who's probably gonna be able to field fight much more than these other guys, and they're gonna be able to kind of carry the momentum and stuff. So this is rough. I think NFW is in a sad spot, as they don't really have the whales and stuff. If they can't really make out a good friendship with one of these alliances, they're just fresh meat, right? And it's not worth showing up to an island like this. Okay, we're looking at G10. We're ending it here because I need a water break. I need to eat, guys. I woke up and just did this video for no apparent reason. All right, we got no one. Got no one here. Honestly, for 5.3 bill, that's not pretty bad. Yeah, this is actually looking pretty solid. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I'm not gonna lie, looking pretty solid for no one so far. We're revert, or I referred to that as revert, but we got revert, aka Revolution K here. Revolution K. I think I've actually maybe checked these guys out before. I think the biggest issue is kind of comparing them to no one. They don't have as many T6, but they do look like they have a massive group of fighters, honestly, and you can assume that most of their player base is on the upper 60, 50 mil-ish, 40 mil there. Looks a lot more balanced. So I didn't actually check that, but I think it's gonna be this is probably an older region. Actually, no, this is a much younger region. Honestly, that's a nice balance though for such a region, right? So I feel like even though these guys are much younger, these 80 mils and stuff probably more capable of fighting, right? Than like even some T6 players from like an older region, probably much more like spender wise and stuff. So I don't know. I actually wouldn't count them out for the count, but yeah, I mean, because wait, where is no one from? Because I actually got to check this. Also actually from a newer region. So I mean, you're gonna have to see. I mean, the thing is, it's so hard to determine who's quote unquote from a newer region, right? Because a lot of these alliances had a lot of players probably migrate in from other regions as well because the recent migration event. So kind of determining this stuff isn't as easy as it may have been before. I think these are like much more balanced alliances in this bracket. A lot. This is like a newer region bracket with a lot more balance in it. Although I kind of see Odyssey already in like a good light here. Let's look at Bald. Bald, I'm already feeling kind of bad for. Bald like has this one T6 guy, right? But I mean, what are they gonna do, right? You're kind of gonna get cruised and crushed. And I mean, these guys aren't weak, but you got I don't know, you got 3 billion might. You got like I'm assuming it's gonna be the main player base that's gonna be fighting, and then the rest maybe just sits back, right? Because then it drops off pretty hard at like 30 mil and all that. And like, what do you do? What do you do? LAS, just thinking like Los Angeles. These guys, honestly, I think it's like I'm gonna have to. Let me see. Let me see. Because the thing is, this one's honestly much more balanced. I feel like Lost, WSS, sorry, SW, No One, Revved, and you got Odyssey, right? And I feel like the other ones are still on a smaller scale, but not bad, right? Like these guys still kind of here. I feel like they definitely will have an impact, obviously, but I don't think like it's as massive as some of these, just because they have like a bigger upper player base, right? And even these guys are like they're not small; they're 4.3 billion. But then you also have one T6 player in comparison to maybe multiple alliances with 3 or 4 or 5 T6 players. So I honestly can't say on this bracket. I wish I like could just read. I wish there was like a little list of how the alliances are going on these brackets, so I could just be like, well, yeah, this is how I think it'll go. I think you guys understand me, but yeah, I just sound stupid right now. That was it to the video though. I just wanted to do a little coverage on this while I was free, because I mean it doesn't hurt me, and you know this is always a little bit fun for me to just go through them, just talk about it a bit. You know, some people enjoy watching these, but yeah, I do appreciate you guys. You know, you guys are always a pleasure to record for. And you guys, yeah, that is it. I do appreciate you guys. Like I said, you guys have a good day or night, though. And I will see you guys in the next one. You tell me in the comments what you think the brackets are going to be like. Also, if you are in one of these brackets that I didn't know the alliance agreements as much on, do let me know how the allies are going to go and how the allies are going to work for these, as I am interested. I do like to, you know a little bit, dabble a little bit in them. But yeah, I do appreciate you guys. You guys have a good day or night, though, and I will see you guys in the next one. That is it. Peace.